Over the past 5.5 years, almost every video on this channel has been related to Rise of Kingdoms, whether it's a guide for the latest commander, or me waking up at 5 in the morning to cover the latest patch notes, or to me just giving you guys my thoughts and opinions on a hot topic in the community. I've really tried to cover almost everything there is to cover about Rise of Kingdoms. So today we're going to do something a little bit different. This video is going to be more like an old school style YouTube video, just a dude talking to his camera. And in honor of the 7th anniversary for Rise of Kingdoms, I'm going to peel back the curtain a little bit for you guys. I'm going to share with you guys a little bit more about who I am and my journey that I have taken as a content creator, my journey as a player of Rise of Kingdoms, and the impact that this has had on me, not just the game that's had an impact on me, but the community, you guys having an impact on me as well. And I know a lot of you guys really are just here for the tips. You're just here to get the value for the game, and I understand that. I don't blame you if you end up clicking away. Consider dropping a like before you do so at the very least, but I will bribe you, because at the very end of this video I'm going to share with you guys an exclusive redeem code for Rise of Kingdoms that will only be revealed in this video. So stay tuned later on if you want to get some free stuff in Rise of Kingdoms. But first, what's going on, guys? Cheers. Now, if we start at the beginning of this channel, which was November 11th 2014, we wouldn't really be starting at the beginning, because even though this channel is nearly 11 years old at this point, which is actually insane, I had multiple YouTube channels before this one. And as you guys know, YouTube came out around 2006 2007, somewhere in that area, and at that time I was in like 6th or 7th grade. I was in middle school, right? And I quickly fell in love with YouTube. It immediately became one of my favorite things to watch. And back in the day, there was really not, you know, it wasn't that big of a website, but I found content for games like Call of Duty, right? I found creators like Wings of Redemption, which is like still making content to this day, which is insane. Woody's Gamer Tag, right? These are old men who make podcasts now, but you know, I watched X-Jaws and I watched all these Call of Duty commentators, and I was like, wow, I was so interested. YouTube captivated me really fast, because unlike a television show like watching Pokemon or watching, you know, Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network, which I did still do as a kid, but unlike those shows, YouTubers were personable. They were people that I could relate to. They were real people sharing their real experiences and stories while playing Call of Duty, which is something that I did on the other screen while I listened to them talk. And for me, it was sort of so niched down, like this was like specifically what I was interested in, that it made me love YouTube more than any TV show, because it felt like the content was tailor-made just for people like me. And so from a very early age, I started making content. I had a really awful webcam and I started making gaming videos. I did unboxing videos. I did game reviews for, like, you know, something like Gears of War, or like Pokemon for the Wii. I don't remember what game that even was. I think it was Pokemon Battle Revolution for the Wii. I think I did a review for like Ocarina of Time or Twilight Princess, something like that. But I just posted random, like, you know, whatever videos I wanted to post. I just, you know, I was just a little kid with a camera, and that's pretty much it, right?
Today I'm gonna be reviewing Pokemon Battle Revolution for the Nintendo Wii. It's okay. I mean, I wouldn't suggest buying it. If you wanna play it and try it out, I'd suggest renting it before you buy it, if you really wanna buy it, just to make sure you don't get bored of it, because me, well, I'm bored of it.
And over the years, I kind of realized that, like, okay, I really should like specialize my channel in something. And so eventually I made a channel for competitive Pokemon battling, and I did that for a while. This was back during Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I would do online battles and I would commentate over the battle and share with people my strategy for winning or losing, right? Whatever the outcome happened to be. I did a channel doing Pokemon card unboxings. I was doing that, you know, over a decade ago, way before it became as popular as it is now. And in hindsight, I really wish I would have stuck to that, because that blew up like crazy. But I was doing that back during Pokemon Black and White, you know what I mean? Like that, like way back. Okay. And then from there, eventually I realized that I didn't want to stick to Pokemon long term, because Pokemon was a kid's game and I'm not a kid, and I want to do something a little bit, you know, more my style, but I wanted to pick something that was popular and that I knew would be popular for a long time. And so I made this channel. I made it Omniarch, and I focused on Call of Duty gameplay, and that was originally what I wanted to do all the way back in the day, but I just never had the equipment to really make quality content. And eventually I got my hands on the stuff that I needed to really make as best quality gameplay as possible. But when I started this channel, I wanted to make the name unique. I didn't want to just make it, you know, like XX sniper god underscore 420 XX, you know, like this typical gamer tag. I thought that was stupid. I thought it didn't stand out. I wanted it to be unique without any like numbers, or I didn't want it to be too gamer taggy, you know what I mean? So I just really was brainstorming, and I was like, I want to make something that's like, you know, 2 syllables or maybe 3 syllables depending, and I want it to be something that, like, you know, people will associate with me. Like, I don't want it to be something that when you hear it you think of Call of Duty or Halo or some other video game. I want it to just be its own like unique thing, right? And so I came up with Omniarch, and the way that I came up with this, it's very humble, by the way. If you don't know what Omniarch actually means, if you've ever wondered what Omniarch means, I just took the prefix omni, which according to Google comes from the Latin word omnis, which means all or every, and I combined it with the suffix arch, you know, like monarch. And arch essentially means highest ranking or principal, or sort of the best of. So again, very humble, but Omniarch basically means the greatest of all, which is like fucking true, am I right? Like, oh my god, based. Anyway, I thought Omniarch was cool. I thought it was, you know, different, unique. There was nobody really using that name back then, so that's what I decided to go with, and I thought it, you know, it was really cool. In hindsight, I think it's fine. I think I could make it even shorter, like really just going with Omni or something like that. But anyway, that was the start of this channel. I wanted it to be a Call of Duty YouTube channel, and I did that for about 5 years, which is kind of insane to think about. And the channel never really took off. I never really had any crazy, you know, I had one video that is, ironically, it's the highest viewed video on this channel still. It's almost 500,000 views. It was literally just a Slenderman Easter egg type of clickbait thing, which is really stupid, but it ended up blowing up, which is hilarious. But either way, besides that, my regular uploads got like 200 views up to like 700 views. Like, I never really got any views at all, and I just did that for 5 years. And you know what the definition of insanity is. It is, you know, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that never really clicked to me. I just thought, okay, as long as I'm persistent, as long as I keep grinding, eventually, surely I will be able to grow a large enough audience. And that strategy was horrible. It did not work. And I was really starting to get tired of Call of Duty around 2019 because they released Modern Warfare, and this was not the first time they released Modern Warfare. This is the remake of Modern Warfare that introduced Warzone, and a lot of you guys really, I'm sure many of you have played it, you know what I'm talking about. And when they did this, they changed the game engine, and I was never a huge battle royale player, and this new Modern Warfare, it just didn't grip me, right? It's just the creative class, I didn't like it. And for years at that point, I felt like Call of Duty was going downhill, especially after Black Ops 3. Everything after that really fell like super short of my expectations. The online multiplayer just was not good. Blackout was not good. There was just nothing there for me anymore. Infinite Warfare was horrible. You know, like, these games just really felt like they couldn't possibly get any worse. Little did I know, here we are. But even still, I really had fallen out of love with Call of Duty for a couple of years. And back in 2018, this is where we start to talk about Rise of Kingdoms. So back in the summer of 2018, I moved to New York City with my best friend, and we got a 2-bedroom apartment in Queens, and I was able to transfer my position at Apple in Albany, where I went to college. I graduated with a degree in business administration, focused on marketing. And I thought, well, the logical next step with a marketing degree is to go to New York City, right? Like, why not? And, you know, there was a couple of other reasons why I ended up moving, but it was the right time in my life to move anyway. And growing up upstate, I won't specify exactly where, but I grew up in a small town in upstate New York, and you know, throughout my life it was kind of boring in the middle of nowhere, and so I moved to Albany, which is a bigger city, and I thought the next logical step is an even bigger city, and what bigger city than New York City, right? So I thought, okay, I'll move to New York City, marketing degree, I'll find a cool job after that, and that's going to be it, right? Well, luckily for me, I worked at Apple, and I was able to transfer my job from Albany to a store here in New York City. And so that was nice. I mean, it was cool to just like kind of keep my job while I moved to a different city. Like, that's awesome, you know what I mean? And when I moved here in the summer of 2018, I didn't, you know, obviously I didn't really know anybody besides my best friend that I lived with. And a few months later, in October of 2018, I noticed a lot of my coworkers who I started to become friends with, more so like work friends, right? Like, they're just people that you're friends with at work. It had been, you know, I worked there for like 4 months or something like that. And a lot of these coworkers started playing this new game called Rise of Kingdoms. Everyone just started downloading it. And at that time, I was really into a game called Clash Royale, which is still a very popular mobile game. And I played Clash Royale every day on my breaks, on my lunch breaks, whatever. And I noticed all these people were playing this new game, but you know, I'm a pretty introverted guy, right? Like, I'm not super, I come off as energetic in videos, and I can be like very extroverted in social settings, but in general, I'm pretty to myself, right? And I think you kind of have to be if you're going to be a YouTuber, by the way, because you spend all your time filming and editing. But regardless, I kind of like picked up on what game it was, but I downloaded the game without telling anybody. I just wanted to like see what it was, right? Like, what's all this hype about? Why is everyone playing this? You know, they didn't invite me to play, but I just figured out what game it was. I downloaded it. And I would say like a week later, I was playing Rise of Kingdoms on my break, and one of my coworkers, I think it was Davis, came over and he saw me playing, and he's like, yo, you're playing Rise of Kingdoms too. And I was like, yeah, you know, I saw you guys, you know, figured I'd download it, see what it's all about. And he's like, well, what server are you in? And I don't remember what server it was. And he's like, no, you should play in our server. And it was server 1062. I was like, okay, like I hadn't really made that much progress in the game, so I just created a new account in server 1062, and I joined the alliance that everybody at the store was, you know, in. And I swear it was probably like 20 of us, maybe more, maybe 30 people at the store. We were all playing and developing our own cities in Rise of Kingdoms. And to this day, I don't know exactly who the first person was who downloaded it, but either way, you know, we all had an alliance, and it was cool to like have the whole, you know, a big chunk of my, you know, coworker friends all be kind of invested in this sort of group project together, right? Because, you know, we would go on break and be like, oh, did you see like so and so city got attacked, and like, oh, we're gonna, after work, we're all gonna like get together and like you know, gang up on the people that attack them, you know what I mean? Like, it all, like, in hindsight, it's almost like the corny ads you see on Instagram, right? But like, that was actually my experience with Rise of Kingdoms. Like, oh, did you see like Joe just got 17 million power? I'm like, oh my god, like that was actually my real experience with Rise of Kingdoms, right? And I remember when they introduced Ark of Osiris, and the first ever Ark of Osiris that came to our you know, alliance, we actually all, as a group, we all went to a nearby German bar, which is no longer around, but it was this big beer house. And we had this big long table, and we all said, okay, like, you know, at 8 p.m. or whatever it was, like after work, we're all going to meet up here, and we're all going to do Ark of Osiris together so we can like communicate in person, right? And we like took it pretty seriously. And you know, we ordered a beer, and we ordered like, you know, a big pretzel and food, whatever. Even people that didn't play the games like came just because we were all hanging out, right? And it was a lot of fun. And I was like, wow, like this is cool. Like, this is like, I'm part of a big community of players, right? And, you know, as time went on with Rise of Kingdoms, for my first like year, you know, especially living in New York, obviously, as you guys know, the cost of living is high here. And at that time, I was still new at Apple, so I wasn't making that much money. I didn't really have that much money to spend on Rise of Kingdoms. In my first year, I probably spent $100 or less than that, right? And I wasn't like online grinding every day. I was just like playing casually on my breaks and stuff, and just trying to get towards tier 5 units, you know? And as time went on, you know, a couple of people stopped playing that I worked with, and some people kept going and whatever. And eventually it got to a point where, you know, there weren't that many people left in the store that still played. It was like me and maybe like 5 other people that really like stuck with it. And at a certain point, the kingdom really my original kingdom started to really consolidate power. And at a certain point, I remember realizing that it was time for me to migrate out of the kingdom. And at that point, I actually ended up following a gentleman who goes by the name of RK. RK is currently one of the kings of my kingdom here in 1568, and I kind of just tagged along with wherever he went because a lot of the people that I played with in real life didn't play anymore, and I knew him to be a very prominent player in 1062 back in the day. And, you know, I thought, well, hey, this is like one of the leaders of the kingdom. I'll follow him to see what, you know, at least I know this person. At least I've played with them before. I kind of know what to expect, right? And it turns out that was a really good decision because I'm still playing with RK all of these years later, and I would consider him a friend, and I've met more along the way, right? And so that's kind of like my first year in Rise of Kingdoms, right? I took the game very casually. I just focused all of my energy on getting to tier 5 units. I figured, similar to, you know, World of Warcraft, I thought that tier 5 units was the end game, right? Like in World of Warcraft, the game, you know, the joke is that the game begins at level cap, right? Because that's when you can do the end game raids, the latest content, that sort of stuff. And I thought in Rise of Kingdoms, okay, well, tier 5 units are the level cap in Rise of Kingdoms, so just get there and then you could start to do all the cool stuff, right? That philosophy was not very good. I've talked about this in my mistakes videos over the years, but that meant that I spent all of my gems on things like Books of the Covenant instead of Wheels of Fortune for commanders like Seong-Gye or Alexander the Great. So by the time I got to tier 5, the only expertise commander that I had, I think, was Cao Cao, because I actually put universals into Cao Cao, right? Yeah, big mistake there. But, you know, hindsight's 2020, of course, and I was a free-to-play player. I didn't really know what I was doing, but either way, and by the way, the reason that I picked Cao Cao as a commander to invest in is because I saw a Chiskel gaming video where he said that cavalry was like the best troop type for free-to-play players, and I thought, okay, I've spent a little bit, but realistically I'm a free-to-play player, right? So I thought, okay, I'm gonna go all in on calves, and you know, I'm such a free-to-play that I'll probably never expertise any of these really expensive commanders like Seong-Gye, but at least Cao Cao is a commander I can get free to play, and if I put some sculptures into him, I could really get him to that you know, expertise level, right? So basically what I'm saying is I blame Chiskel for me expertising Cao Cao, even though he never ever said to do that. And I just, anyway, my point is I was a Chiskel viewer before I was a Chiskel colleague, basically. But that was my first year in Rise of Kingdoms, and in 2019, in September of 2019, I actually turned 25. And for my 25th birthday, my mom, shout out to Omniarch, okay, surprised me with one of the best gifts I've ever gotten, and that was a trip to Los Angeles, because I had always wanted to go to LA, because growing up I watched YouTubers like Nadeshot or iJustine, and these creators moved to LA and they had these vlogs, and it just looked so cool. It's like, oh yeah, this is where all the famous people live, right? Like this is where Hollywood is. And I always wanted to visit LA, but over the years when I would go on vacation, like with my dad and stuff, we would do road trips, and they were incredible, and I would change nothing about them. I am absolutely blessed that we went on these incredible road trips every year. But being from New York, a road trip to LA really wasn't in the cards. It's just too far, right? It's just too far. And so of all the places in the country that I've been to, I had never been to the West Coast. And so for my 25th birthday, my mom got flights, she got us a hotel, and we went to LA, I think for a week. And that just, like, you know, at that time, like I said, my love for YouTube and Call of Duty was dying, because Call of Duty wasn't good anymore. And I felt awful making these Call of Duty videos that I didn't care about the game, right? And so I went to LA for my birthday, and it was everything that I thought it would be. Like I went there sort of with rose tinted glasses on, and it was awesome. I mean, the sunsets on the West Coast are incredible. If you've never been to California, I highly recommend it. I think unfortunately after the pandemic it has kind of gone downhill a little bit, but I did go there last year with my girlfriend, and we had a fantastic time. So like, you can still have a very, very nice vacation or visit to Los Angeles or wherever you go in California. But this trip, the reason that I mention it is because this trip to LA really reinvigorated my passion for creating content, right? Because I went there and I got to see these places that these vloggers would go to, right? And I was like, wow, like this is real. Like it's no longer just a place that I'm seeing on a screen. Like you can actually be here and go here and live here, and like, I don't know, it sounds silly, right? But putting yourself in those environments in real life is a lot different than sort of, you know, kind of fantasizing about it being a reality, even though we all know Los Angeles exists, right? Obviously, but that really reinvigorated my passion for creating content, because I felt like it was attainable. I felt like it's actually, like, it's real, like you can really do this. So after I came back, shortly after that, I ended up buying a new computer. I decided that if I was going to really take this seriously, I should get as best of a computer as I could get, because up until then I was editing videos with a custom built a PC that I built with really just budget parts, right? Because growing up, I didn't have my family, you know, I was always blessed to, you know, have a roof over my head, hot meals, you know, Christmas and my birthday were always great, right? I always got, you know, the video games that I wanted, right? But money was tight, right? I mean, we're talking about, you know, we lived through the 2008 financial, you know, the recession and all that, you know, so money was you know, we weren't like dead broke, but like money was tight. There wasn't money for me to have a really high-end gaming computer growing up, right? And so, you know, for Christmas one year, I asked for just parts for a computer, because I was like, okay, well, parts are cheaper than a full computer, and I'm smart, I can figure out how to build it, right? And it worked, and I did that. But, you know, a few years had passed since then, and this budget computer was getting old, and so I thought, okay, if I'm gonna take this YouTube thing seriously, I should get like a real gaming computer, right? And so I bought a $2,000 computer, which at that time was like a lot of money for me. And that trip to LA reinvigorated my passion for making content. And that brings us back to Rise of Kingdoms, right? Because at that point, you know, my birthday was in September of 2019, and I started playing Rise of Kingdoms in October of 2018. So a year had passed. My first year in Rise of Kingdoms had passed. And throughout that time, I wanted to make content for Rise of Kingdoms, but I already saw that there was these established creators doing really well, right? Like I said before, Chisco was making content, Dragothian was making content, we had Gecko Gaming, Legend Roni, Shinchi42. There was all these, I don't remember when Fleisch started making content, but there was all these creators who were already making content back then. And I thought, you know, this space is already saturated. Like there's no, why would anyone watch me make content when all these guys already get thousands of views? Like I can't compete with that, right? Like their accounts are much better than mine. Like there's just no way. So, you know, throughout the first year of my Rise of Kingdom journey, I didn't make any content because I thought there's no point. But that changed on January 2nd of 2020. I decided that, hey, you know, Call of Duty's awful and I've got nothing else to make content about. Screw it. I'm going to make a beginner's guide for Rise of Kingdoms. I'm just going to share what I know about the game, because I played the game for over a year now. I love the game. I think it's fantastic. I'm going to make a beginner's guide for Rise of Kingdoms. And it turns out that was a big turning point for me, because that was a huge bump to my channel. That video absolutely took off, and to this day it has over 100,000 views. My first ever Rise of Kingdoms video has 108,000 views, almost 109,000 views right now. But of course, when I first posted it, it got like 7,000 views, and I was like, whoa, because remember, my videos were getting 200 views, 500 views, right? And this video got like 7,000 views or something, and I was like, whoa, like people watched it, right? People liked this. So then I was like, okay, well, what's a really popular, like what could I follow that up with that I think people are really gonna like? Like what's a topic in this game that's like really a big deal? And I was looking for inspiration, and shamelessly, I don't even know if Chiskel knows this, but shamelessly I went to Chiskel's channel and I sorted by most popular. I was like, what's his highest viewed video? And all the way back in January of 2020, his highest viewed video was a video called Solimar Zeroed, $200,000 whale account destroyed in mobile game Rise of Kingdoms. And to this day, that is still by far the most popular video on Chiskel's channel, with over 1.3 million views, which is hilarious to think about. And I think that might be the only like organic Rise of Kingdoms content to break 1 million views. I think like there might be other videos out there like YouTube shorts or whatever that have more, but like full on dedicated videos for Rise of Kingdoms by a Rise of Kingdoms content creator, that's got to be by far the most popular one, right? And even back then it was the most popular one. So I thought, okay, well, people really seem to like this topic. I'm just gonna steal it. Just yoink, just gonna take it, right? I'm like, he doesn't know who I am, and you know, whatever. Like if I can post a video about this, maybe I can get some views, right? And that video flopped. I mean, it flopped. I mean, right now it's got 7,500 views, but back then it didn't move the needle. So I was like, okay, well, you know, lesson learned. You can't just steal someone's video and expect it to do well. You know, you gotta like really add your own spin to it. You gotta really like bring something else to the table. So then I was like, all right, I talked about beginner's guide. Let me make another video. Let's talk about the best commanders. That's like a generic guide, right? Just best commanders, right? Boom, that video popped off. And right now it's sitting at 88,500 views. And those two videos, my beginner's guide and my best commanders guide, they immediately popped and they did really, really well. And I was like, okay, like something is here. Like people are watching these videos and I can't say the same for my Call of Duty stuff. Let me really dig down and figure out if I can like make good content for Rise of Kingdoms, because again, at the time that was like the only game that I was really enjoying playing anyway. And so I felt great making Rise of Kingdoms videos. I'm like, this is awesome. Like people are watching it and I love the game. Like this is a win-win, right? And so that was January of 2020, and you know, I posted a couple more videos here and there, daily tips and tricks. You know, I did a Minamoto guide, I did a Cao Cao guide, right? And then in March of 2020, the world kind of changed, right? And I'm sure you guys all know what I'm referring to. The world shut down, and working at Apple still, I took this as an opportunity because, you know, at that time I had just gotten a promotion to doing repairs, right? I was able to repair phones. And I had just gotten this promotion, but we all got sent home. They closed the store, right? And the store was going to be closed for 2 weeks. It was a lockdown in New York, right? And actually, in fact, Apple closed before the city closed down because Apple had advanced data from all around the world, and they were like, yeah, no, this is a big deal. Like we're gonna be proactive about it. We're not waiting for the city. They're too slow. The government's too slow. We're just gonna shut down early, right? And so they shut down, and we're kind of in limbo because it's like, you know, I'm not a work from home person. I work in a store, right? Like there's nothing I can do from home, you know what I mean? And so they were paying us from home, which was fantastic, but I didn't have anything to do. So I was like, okay, what I'm going to do, I mean, I'm stuck inside, like basically city, global, state mandate. You can't leave the house. I'm like, okay, great. I don't like leaving the house anyway. I'm just going to make videos. And from there, obviously we all know that 2-week lockdown turned to a 3-month lockdown. And I was basically getting paid to just sit at home and do training modules and make sure that, you know, when the time comes and I have to go back to servicing customers' devices, like I know as much as I can know, right? And having just gotten the promotion and just coming out of that training, I was like, I'm just skimming through these slides and I know everything already, right? Like I'm fresh off the press. I already know stuff. So, you know, I was spending barely any time every day doing my actual job, but I was getting paid my full, you know, hourly rate every single day. So I saw this as an opportunity. I was like, this is literally a once in a lifetime opportunity where I am stuck at home, not working, but collecting a full paycheck. Like this is the perfect storm. And I was like, I need to capitalize on this, right? I need to make the most of this, and I need to pedal to the metal, make as many videos as I can while I'm sitting here, because, you know, if you want to be a full-time YouTuber, it's really risky. You know, you can't just quit your job and hope it works out, right? Like that doesn't make sense. And so I was like, wow, like this is kind of like a trial period. This is the universe saying like, hey, you want to be a full-time YouTuber? Okay, well, this is what it's going to be like. You're going to sit home all day and you're going to film and you're going to edit and you're going to come up with ideas, and some of these videos are going to fail and you're going to learn and like you're going to have to just figure it out. But the beauty was it was a trial period because I was still getting paid from a job I wasn't going to, really. You know what I mean? And so I saw this as a golden opportunity. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna, while I'm home, while this lasts, I don't know how long I'm gonna be stuck here, but I'm gonna make as many videos as I can and just see how big I can grow my channel and see what happens, right? And the rest is kind of history. That's kind of where it took off. And I think Rise of Kingdoms really took off during that period as well, you know, and I think that really helped my channel a lot because a lot of people were stuck at home. A lot of people were interested in mobile games and, you know, little free to play games and stuff that they can download and whatever. And I think Rise of Kingdoms actually got really popular during that lockdown pandemic period. And so it was kind of like this sort of perfect storm of like me being able to do this, and I already had proof of concept because I already had some of my videos pop off, so I knew I could do it, and I was still getting paid, and the game was starting to pick up and do even better than it was. And so it kind of worked out really well for me. And I think the video that really blew up for me, the video that like really changed my trajectory when it came to Rise of Kingdoms, was a video called The Truth Behind Rise of Kingdoms Ads. I posted this in May of 2021. This was literally a 13-minute video where I just go in and I react to Rise of Kingdoms ads, because everyone knew that these ads were absurd. They're insane. And even to this day, they're ridiculous, right? Like it's actually funny how bad some of them are, but at the same time, you can't really judge them because they work, right? Like, you know, I mean, you can comment down below if you've downloaded Rise of Kingdoms from an ad video. A lot of people do. I'll tell you that much. They'll download it just to make the ad stop, or they'll download it just to see if it's that ridiculous, and they end up finding a game that's pretty good, right? So I made the Truth Behind Rise of Kingdoms ads video, and that video exploded. That has, right now, it has 274,000 views, but that video exploded really fast, and it actually started going, you know, blowing up outside of Rise of Kingdoms. Like people were watching it not because they played Rise of Kingdoms, but because they saw the ads, right? And so the video actually appealed to a much broader demographic. A lot of people actually saw that video, and I got a lot of subscribers off of that video. And I think that kind of like, you know, it was this like big, it's one of those the phrase, you know, a rising tide raises all ships, right? Like that one really big video just like blew up my subscriber base, and all videos after that started to just do a little bit better. And that was also around the time that the Vikings release was happening in Rise of Kingdoms. And you know, I didn't really know it at the time, but big civilization releases like the Vikings were big marketing pushes for Rise of Kingdoms. And so again, we find ourselves in another perfect storm where I post a video about Rise of Kingdoms ads, just trying to be as funny and goofy as possible. And it just so happened to be the case that like they were running a ton of ads at that point, and like the game was getting even more popular, right? And so another perfect storm. Later that month, I ended up getting zeroed. Okay, I got zeroed in May, late May 2021, and that video was really big for me. That has over 111,000 views. I think that was around the time that I first migrated to Kingdom 1568, where I met Miss Mayhem, who is still one of the kings, or I should say, I guess, queens of our kingdom. Okay, shout out to Miss Mayhem. She's become a friend of mine over these years, which has been fantastic. But yeah, that was the lesson that I learned. I was like, okay, I'm getting zeroed in this kingdom, I gotta leave. And it wasn't my kingdom that zeroed me. I was in KBK, I went offline, but I was careless, right? And you know, you're only careless when you don't really care about the game as much. You can watch that video if you want to know more about it. But either way, these were some big videos for my channel in May of 2021. Later that year, I released one of my most infamous videos. The thickest commander tier list came out in November of 2021, and this video was inspired by another YouTuber who goes by the name of Tectone. I saw that you know, Genshin Impact really blew up, and that, by the way, Tiger, what are you doing? Tiger wanted to say hi, and you know, if you made it this far into the video, she really thinks that you should probably like the video. Isn't that right, Tiger? There's a bird feeder outside this window, and that she's like locked in. Anyway, I saw that Tectone did a waifu tier list for Genshin Impact, and by the way, I downloaded Genshin Impact on like day one, and I thought about making content for it because the game was really getting popular, and I decided, nah, you know, I don't want to do that because I'm already seeing success with Rise of Kingdoms. What a massive mistake that was, because Genshin Impact would go on to be one of the biggest games like of this generation, right? Like Genshin Impact is still insanely popular to this day. But either way, I saw Tectone do the waifu video, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do that for Rise of Kingdoms because no one's done it before, and I wanted to just make more entertaining content, like not necessarily just guides. I wanted to just do more, right? I wanted to just do different things. I didn't want to just be locked into guides. So I made that video, and I think it has like 30,000 views at this point, which, you know, it's not one of my most popular videos. And even my most recent waifu tier list that I made a few weeks ago, even that is not super popular, but I think that it's important to make videos that are true to who you are sometimes, and just be like goofy and funny and stupid. And like, obviously, you know, it's not to be taken seriously. It's all a joke. It's all dumb, right? And some people don't care about that. Some people don't like it. They think it's stupid humor or whatever, and that's fine, right? That's fine. But I thought it was funny, and so I did it, and that's it. And so anyway, after I made that video, you know, it was back to regularly scheduled program. And then in May of 2022, I think this was actually a really big moment for me. One of my videos, I got my first ever copyright strike on YouTube because I posted a video that leaked the release of Boudica Prime and Henry. Now, I should say that this video was copyright striked by Lilith Games. I still have the email to this day. And basically, you know, one of the things that I had as a creator, you know, because like I said earlier, there were already all of these established creators in the scene, but they were all partnered creators with Rise of Kingdoms, right? And so the one thing that I had as a not sponsored creator back then was the ability to make videos about leaked content, because the sponsored creators weren't allowed to do that, right? But I wasn't sponsored. I didn't care. I just do whatever I want, right? Turns out that's not a great long-term strategy. It was a good strategy back then because it was my leg up on the competition, right? Like I could make a video about a commander when they leak, and then a week later Chiskel makes the official video, right? And I've already scooped up, you know, 20-30% of the viewers, right? But you know, as it turns out, that would not be a good long-term strategy when Rise of Kingdoms struck down my video. Basically, I made a video talking about how Boudica Prime and Henry were coming out. You know, they were coming soon. I leaked it. I talked about the skills, everything like that. And they took down the video, and I was kind of freaked out, right? I was like a little bit worried, and I reached out to the legal department over at Lilith, and they gave me some of the Discord contacts to community managers. I think I reached out to Leo at that time. I don't know if Leo even remembers that, but long story short, the legal department was basically like, look, you know, you can't do this. Like we are putting our foot down. Like you absolutely, like, this is not a joke. Like we will, like, you have to stop. And I was like, hey, I heard you loud and clear. It ain't gonna happen again. Okay. And they were like, okay, we've got a deal. And they were kind enough to remove that strike from my channel. And if you guys don't know, strikes are a big deal on YouTube. It's a big deal to have a strike on your channel. So it was very kind of them to remove the strike, because they definitely didn't have to do it, right? And I was very grateful for that. And from that moment on, I decided that I'm not going to do any more leaked content, mainly because I couldn't, right? Like obviously they knew who I was at that point. I was no longer this tiny creator that was just getting away with stuff. Like my channel was big enough to where it's a problem if I leak stuff. So that was a big moment in my, you know, career for Rise of Kingdoms, because, you know, I also, because I was a smaller creator, you know, anytime that there was an update that I didn't like, I would make a video complaining about it or whatever. And, you know, I think because, again, I wasn't sponsored, I thought, oh, I could just say whatever I want, right? Which is true, of course. And even to this day, I can still say whatever I want if I really want to. But, you know, because they copyright struck that video, took the strike away, thank God. But I kind of thought that I was on bad terms with Lilith Games and the community managers and stuff like that, because I thought, you know, like I'm like this sort of dark horse that's just like breaking rules and doing his own thing off in like, you know, in rule breaker land, you know. But you know, obviously I love the game, right? Obviously I love the game, and so I'm going to keep making content for the game. And then later that year, in August of 2022, a little studio called Farlight Games actually pops up and teases the quote unquote spiritual successor to Rise of Kingdoms, a game called Call of Dragons. And later in September of that year of 2022, a beta is released. And I thought, hey, you know, Rise of Kingdoms is super popular. This new game might be even bigger, because they're just going to take everything that worked from ROK and make it better. Like, that could be the future of the genre on mobile, right? So I wanted to get in on the beta. I think I downloaded a VPN on my computer, and I think the beta was only in like Germany or some other, I don't even know. But either way, I downloaded the beta on my with my VPN. I played it for a live stream. I really got to learn the game, and I was like, wow, like this game is something. Like there's something here. The game looks gorgeous. Like it looks fantastic. There's ranged combat. There's like mages. I was like, this is awesome, right? I didn't like the art style of the commanders, but everything else was cool. And so March of 2023 comes around and Call of Dragons launches. They, alongside that, release a content creator program for Call of Dragons. And I was like, wow, like this is, you know, this is it. Like I'm gonna get in on the ground floor. I thought of it as like, this would be like getting in Rise of Kingdoms before Rise of Kingdoms came out, right? So I was like, okay, well, this Farlight, you know, it's basically a sister studio to Rise of Kingdoms. They know what they're doing. The game, I've played it already, it looks great. You know, I'm gonna take this opportunity, even though it's not Rise of Kingdoms, you know, it's not Rise of Kingdoms. I'm gonna start making content for this game, and I'm gonna get into the content creator program. And I thought, you know, even if the Call of Dragons stuff doesn't work out long term, I figured if I can just get into the content creator program, I can maybe get on their good side, right? I can, you know, get on the good side of Lilith and Farlight and really have an actual working relationship with them to show them like, yeah, you know, hey, I've said some mean stuff in the past and I've leaked some commanders and whatever, but like at the end of the day, like I do love the games, right? And they approved me for the creator program, and I started making COD content, right? And shortly after, a few months later, they reached out to me and they said, hey, Omni, you know, we're expanding the content creator program to ROK. Do you want to be a part of that program? And I was like, yeah, 100%, like absolutely. What do I got to do? How do I got to do it? Like, what do you need from me? What are the requirements? Whatever. And it turns out that the requirements for the ROK content creator program are extremely lenient, by the way. Like they are it's actually shockingly lenient for like if you guys know anything, I know this is, again, we're peeling back the curtain a little bit, but lots of other gaming companies who have content creator programs, like you are locked down with NDA, and there's all this stuff that you can't say, you can't do, whatever. And obviously there are some, you know, loose guidelines for the creator program, but I mean, you know, a few weeks ago I posted a video talking about how I didn't like the wand trade system where you can officially trade characters in Rise of Kingdoms for real world money. And I made a whole video talking about, I mean, if you guys saw that video, I really tore into them, right? Like I really made it a very negative video about that platform. And I actually sent that video to the community managers, and I was like, hey, like, you know, I'm gonna post this, but you know, I just want you guys to know like what I'm gonna say. And they actually saw that video and gave me the green light, right? Which is, again, like that is basically unheard of in the gaming industry. So say what you want about sponsored creators or the, you know, the creator program or Lilith or whatever, but I've worked with dozens of different gaming companies at this point in different niches or whatever, and Lilith is by far the best one that I've ever worked with, like in terms of what they allow you to say and do and whatever, right? Like they are really, it's shocking how kind they are and how lenient they are, because there's lots of other games that I've worked with that would not want you posting a video being critical about, you know, their latest update, you know what I mean? So I'm really grateful to them for that, and I recognize how lucky I am to be a part of the program. But either way, later on in March of 2024, they actually officially released the creator program for other people to apply, right? So like I was kind of in like the beta ROK program. That's not what they called it. I don't know exactly what the deal was there. I don't remember all the details from the early days of that. But eventually in March of 2024, they officially released the content creator program, and I, you know, kind of leveled up to associate tier. And then in September of 2024, I actually ended up becoming a partnered creator, which means, and it was actually one day before my birthday, by the way, I became a partnered creator with Rise of Kingdoms. And that was a great birthday gift, of course. And it's been a little over a year now that I've been a partnered creator with Rise of Kingdoms. And that's like incredible. Like I'm incredibly lucky to be here. Especially considering that I stepped on some toes, right? I wasn't the kindest, you know, in my journey, and I was given the benefit of the doubt, and I'm extremely grateful for the opportunity, and I love working with Rise of Kingdoms. Like all the people behind the scenes are they're so nice, they're so kind, they work so hard. You know, again, one of the hard parts about this is that I am a sponsored creator, and so people think that I'm like supposed to be, you know, I always have to be, you know, saying good things, right? Which, you know, my wand trade video is evidence that I do still step out of line occasionally. But you know, I really do mean it. Like the people that work at Rise of Kingdoms really work hard. They really are constantly going, and it's actually insane. You know, I'll get a DM from a goose at like 2 p.m. my time, and I'm like doing the math. I'm like, how are you still awake? Like, not just awake, but like doing work things. Like these people work really, really hard, you know what I mean? And they really are passionate about the game. And so I really do love being a part of the creator program. I'm really lucky to be here, and I owe that all to you guys, like watching the videos, which is insane. And I think that's a great time for me to segue into the impact that the game and you guys have had on my life as a creator, because obviously you know, I get to play a game that I love for a living. Like, this is my full-time thing. I started becoming a full-time YouTuber in October of 2023, and so we are coming up on the 2-year anniversary of me quitting Apple. And you know, that was risky. That was a risky play for me to make, and it still is, by the way. Like, that is the biggest stressor of being a YouTuber, is that there really isn't much job security, you know what I mean? But I still get to wake up every day and make videos about a game that I love to play. And you know, my interest in Rise of Kingdoms fluctuates. You know, it's when you play a game for 7 years, you don't wake up every day with the same passion you had on day one, obviously, right? I mean, you know this. If you've ever had a hobby that you've had for a long time, your interest in that hobby will have peaks and valleys, right? And so, you know, there's been times where I'm burnt out. I'm burnt out from the game. I'm burnt out from making videos and filming and editing and all this stuff, right? I mean, it's hard to believe, but I have nearly 1,000 videos on this YouTube channel, right? So it's a lot of time and work, and no matter how much you love something, you know, eventually you get burnt out, right? So I've had my peaks and valleys, but all in all, like, I really can't complain. I'm blessed to be in this position. And along the way, you know, like I said, with RK and Miss Mayhem, and with Ryan, and with Combat Panda, and with all these people that I've met over the years, you know, Mons, like, I don't want to sit here and list everybody, because I'll feel bad that I'm leaving people out. But you know, even the other creators that I've met along the way, like I you know, went from being a Chiskel viewer to being somebody that, you know, I voice chatted with Chiskel, right? Like, we talk over DMs. You know, I've been lucky to meet a lot of really cool people virtually through Rise of Kingdoms and through this channel, and being a part of this global, you know, community. And one of the things that I think is really impactful for me is when I look at the lifetime of this channel, right? We have over 26 million views on this channel, over 2.5 million watch hours, over 91,000 subscribers. And throughout all of this time, what's been really special about this is that this game is an international game. It is a global game, right? And if I look at the demographics for this channel over the last, you know, 5-6 years, I have viewers all around the world, right? Like, I'm looking on the back end here. Obviously, a majority of my viewers are in the United States because I speak English, but in second place is the Philippines, right? Almost 8% of my viewers are from the Philippines. That's insane. That's amazing, right? Like, that's so, it's the other side of the world, effectively. And beneath that, 6% of my viewers are from Indonesia, and 5% are from the United Kingdom, and 4.4% are from Germany, and 3.4% are from Canada. And we have Malaysia, Vietnam, Australia, France, Italy, Turkey, Poland, India, Brazil, the Netherlands, Russia, Singapore, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, Spain, Sweden, Japan, Greece, Egypt, Mexico. I have 99,000 views from Iraq. I have 160,000 views from Pakistan, 118,000 views from South Korea. I have 112,000 views from South Africa, 109,000 views from Switzerland, and 102,000 from Ukraine. Like, the community that watches this channel is thousands and thousands of people from all around the world. And one of the cool things about that for me, and one of the cool things about Rise of Kingdoms, is that it really does bring a global community together over this one thing. And you know, people argue in Lost Kingdom chat all the time, and they argue in my comment section and all this other stuff, but at the end of the day, like, we all can come together and enjoy this mobile war strategy game. And I think right now, and I can only speak for myself, but I feel like a lot of what we see on the internet is very divisive. It's very hateful. It's very negative. It's really hard to kind of scroll through some of the algorithms these days. You know, the news feed is really negative, and it's sometimes it's overwhelmingly negative, to the point where, like, I don't want to log into Twitter. I don't want to look at this stuff, right? In a world where the messaging is so divisive, it's nice to have a channel and a place and a game where I'm reminded that people all around the world really aren't that different from you and I, right? I mean, 95% of my viewers are men, because this is a war game. 36.5% of you are between the ages of 25 and 34, and 30% of you are from 18 to 24, and 20% of you are from 35 to 44. And I have people who are 65 years old and older who watch my videos. People 55 to 64 are 1.7% of my audience, right? Like, people of all over the world and of all different ages all come together to just talk about a mobile game, right? And like, I think it's important to have things like Rise of Kingdoms these days, because it reminds us that, you know, of how much we are told that we're different. We're really not that different at the end of the day. You know, I can love this game as much as somebody who lives in Dubai or in, you know, South Africa or in Canada or in France or Italy. Like, we all speak different languages, and we have maybe different upbringings and different life experiences. And, you know, as much as the media might, you know, try to pit people against each other from different regions or different, you know, nationalities or different religions or whatever, you know, we can all agree that we like Rise of Kingdoms, and we'll see each other on the battlefield, and we'll laugh in Discord, or we'll, you know, take cheap shots in Lost Kingdom chat, or whatever the case might be. And I don't know, I really value that. I really value that, because it reminds me that, you know, all of the negativity and the divisiveness that we see in regular media isn't really that true all the time. And, you know, sometimes it is. The world's a tough place. It gets pretty dark sometimes, let's be real. I'm not going to try to pretend like it's all sunshine and rainbows, but, you know, the truth is that, like, a lot of us, even though we speak different languages and live in different countries, we're not that different from one another. And it's really cool to be able to literally talk to and interact with people from other countries that I've never been to, and we can get along and be like, yeah, dude, Artemisia's hot, right? Like it just reminds me that, like, you know, we're not that different from one another. And I think anything in 2025, anything that brings people from other countries together, is a really special thing. And that is, you know, I'm lucky to be a part of this. I'm lucky to be a part of Rise of Kingdoms. I'm grateful to have that constant reminder that, you know, there are kind, friendly, funny people all over the world, just like me, who just, you know, will help each other swarm down the Scipio Aemilianus rally, because we have a common goal, even though, you know, on paper we might seem like very different people. So I'm very grateful for that. And it's been one heck of a ride. And I'm sure you guys are wondering what's next. Like, what is the future for Omniarch, you know? And that's something that I am constantly trying to figure out. I think, you know, I hope that Rise of Kingdoms lasts as a game as long as possible, you know, and I think the development team is extremely talented, and I think that they know what they're doing. And, you know, I don't agree with every decision that they make, but at the end of the day, to keep a game popular for 7 years is tremendously difficult, especially these days. I mean, new games come out every single day and they're free. So, like, it's really an extremely competitive market to be in, and to have your game succeed for so long is really incredible. I don't think people realize just how impressive that actually is. So I do, you know, I do think that the development team can keep Rise of Kingdoms going for a long time, you know, and I'll be here making content for it. But, you know, I am in my 30s now. And so I am thinking about, you know, like, what, you know, am I going to be doing rock content when I'm 50? You know, I hope so, but that seems like unlikely, right? It seems unlikely, if we're being honest with ourselves. So, you know, I'm taking it day by day in terms of what's next. But one thing that I have been working a lot on in the last, I would say, 3 months is actually my second channel. It's called Omni TV, or Omniarch TV. It's always linked in the description below, but we actually just hit 10,000 subscribers over there. And some of my videos have been hitting over 100,000 views, which is, like, truly insane. I can't believe how quickly that channel has, like, once I really started, like, digging down and, like, really, like, trying to make those videos as good as possible, the channel's really grown pretty quickly over the last few months, and I'm still learning a lot, and I'm still trying to figure out, like, you know, what the future is of that channel. But that channel is mostly focused around Nintendo and Nintendo news, tech news. I've made some videos about the latest iPhone release, and you know, I plan to expand that channel more onto more broad topics as it gets bigger, as the audience starts to show up for me rather than just the topic. But you know, I'm really grateful for how that channel has been going recently, and I'm going to keep digging deeper with that channel to really push the limits and see how far I can grow that one. And we'll see. And, you know, for now, I'm going to be doing both. I'm going to be doing my second channel and making those videos as good as possible. And I'm going to be doing ROK content, and I'm going to be trying to make these videos as good as possible. And that's my current plan for the near to medium future. And beyond that, who knows, right? You know, at some point I'm gonna have to start doing more live streaming. I recognize that that is a big hole in my portfolio, and it's an opportunity that I'm missing. So that's something that I will probably do mostly on the second channel in terms of, like, you know, games that I want to stream. But that's kind of my future plans for right now. I can't believe how long it's been since I started playing the game. It's almost 7 years, and I'm on apartment number 5, I think. Let me count. I first moved to New York, and then I moved in with another friend, and then we moved to another apartment, and then we moved to my 2 apartments ago. I stayed there for 2 years, and then I had my previous apartment. Now I'm okay, so we're on apartment number 6 actually. So yeah, I've done a lot of moving in the last couple of years. So you know, Rise of Kingdoms has been one of the constants throughout a period of my life that's had a lot of change, and I'm very grateful for that. And I really hope that, you know, I'm gonna keep doing this as long as I can, because I really like the game. I love the game, and I love making content. I just like entertaining people and making people laugh if I can, you know, helping them be good at games. Whatever I can do, I'm gonna make videos about it, because as I've always said, I am a YouTuber first and a Rise of Kingdoms player second. I've been a YouTuber since I was a kid. I'm gonna keep doing that, right? So whether it's Rise of Kingdoms or something else, I'm always going to do that. But for right now, and for the past few years, this period of time where they've overlapped has been amazing, and I want to keep doing that as long as I can. Now, if you made it this far into the video, congratulations, because this video is way longer than I thought it would be. But you guys have actually earned yourself a redeem code in Rise of Kingdoms. In order to redeem this code, you're going to go into your settings, you're going to click other, and you're going to come down to redeem. And from here, you're going to type Omni is Poppy. That's right. Yep, I'm going to make you type that in. That's actually the redeem code. I'm not kidding. Omni is Poppy. Okay. You can call me Poppy in the comment section below. And to celebrate Rise of Kingdoms being 7 years old, you're going to get 700 gems for free. And this only is available for the first 100 people to redeem this code. So redeem it as fast as possible. I would suggest maybe don't redeem it on all your farms, like maybe share it to your friends or whatever. But really, I hope that mostly my viewers will get to use this code, because that's who I mean, you watched all the way through. I hope you're the ones that deserve it. You know what I mean? Now, the last thing I want to leave you with before I go is just a quick life update, really real quick for me. This Sunday, I don't know when this video is going to go up. What day is it today? Today is the 26th. I'm probably going to post on the 27th. On the 28th, I'm going to be leaving to go to Mexico for almost a week. I'm attending a wedding, so I'm going to be in Mexico. So if any breaking news drops over that time period, then I'm going to be very angry at Rise of Kingdoms, because clearly they're going to do it when I'm gone, right? Like, obviously they're colluding to do it when I'm not here. I'm kidding. Obviously they're not doing that, but all that to say, like, if there is breaking news that comes out, I'm not going to be able to cover it immediately, because I will be away on vacation. I'm going to try to have 1 or 2 videos available for you guys to post while I'm gone, but I have a lot to do before I leave, so we'll see how much I can get done. And I am running 2 channels now, so I'm trying to do my best to have content for everybody. But guys, if you made it to the end of this video, consider dropping a thumbs up on it. It really helps out the channel a ton. It helps get this video out into the YouTube algorithm so other people might see it. And if you guys want more videos like this where we just kind of chat, then put it in the comment section below. Let me know what you want to know. Maybe I'll do like a members only Q&A type of thing if you guys have more questions or something. Because I still don't think that many people really care about my backstory, but I also don't love the idea of locking that behind a members only thing. So I don't know, we'll figure it out. But comment down below if you want more videos like this. And if you're new here, if this is the first video of mine you've seen, which is crazy, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and click the bell if you want to be notified the next time I upload more ROK content. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for watching at any point throughout my entire career, and thank you to Rise of Kingdoms, and happy birthday, happy 7th birthday. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Peace.